In a 35-minute interview, I sit down inside of the Solutions Bridal House located in Orlando to discuss one of the most prestigious bridal fashion shows in all of Central Florida. I speak with the three masterminds behind the entire gig to get a behind-the-scenes look on what it truly takes to put together the annual Solutions Bridal Fashion Show. Hi, my name is David Plowden from David's Manor, and I'm sitting here inside of the Solutions Bridal House with owner Erica Trunk, renowned Orlando wedding planner Lisa Lyons, and the patriarch of the Leonardo on Fifth Avenue brand, Leonardo Cordero himself. And today we're going to be talking all about the up-and-coming Solutions Bridal Fashion Show this year in August. You don't want to miss it. So sit back, relax, and I hope you all enjoy the interview. First off, thank you all so much for sitting down with me today. And before we dive into the up-and-coming fashion show, I want to kind of jump back and go back to the year 2020.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
The emerging situation where there is not a cause for alarm.
In early 2020, the coronavirus ran rampant across the entire globe.
The first U.S. case has been detected.
There's confirmation the coronavirus has reached Australia.
China is urging its citizens not to travel abroad as it struggles to contain the virus.
It took lives, stifled businesses, and brought local and international governments down to their knees.
We will be standing up Christmas Island as a quarantine area.
Foreign nationals coming from China are now banned from entering the country.
I have today declared that the coronavirus presents a public health emergency in the United States.
Now, as three entrepreneurs and business owners in your own right, I could only imagine how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected all of you personally. Starting with Erica, can you give us a rundown of how the coronavirus has affected Solutions Bridal and how you were able to persevere through it in 2020?
It was really tough, obviously, as was for everybody. We had to close down due to the government orders. So we were closed down for about 8 weeks. And in that time, we were lucky enough to not have to put any of our staff on furlough or unemployment. We kept everybody employed, and we just found projects to keep them employed because we wanted to make sure that we were doing right by our employees during that time. But while that was happening, it really gave us time to figure out how to innovate and do things new and differently. And so what we ended up doing was really leaning on social media and virtual appointments. How do we reach our brides without actually being able to touch them? So we launched our virtual styling appointments. So anybody throughout the country can actually have the Solutions Bridal experience at home. But we also really leaned into social media and did a ton of advertising on social media, but also we got really big on TikTok. Who knew?
TikTok is taking over,
It really has, and we had a stylist who just loved it, and it was her favorite thing to do, and so we thought, we're kind of quiet. Let's spend some time doing that. And so we let her take the reins, and we've grown a following on TikTok of over 120,000 at this point. And it's become our third largest referral source.
Wow.
So that's actually brought us quite a bit of business, and it wouldn't have happened if we had stayed so busy that we didn't have time to do it.
That's amazing. I am still having problems with trying to figure out TikTok, but I'll get there very soon. Lisa, now I know you are a wedding planner, and I just personally know that because I know you, but I could only imagine how wedding planning has completely been affected by the coronavirus since large gatherings were prohibited in 2020. How has COVID-19 affected you, and how were you able to push through it?
Yeah, so you had it right? No one was spared. Absolutely no one was spared. And by all intents and purposes, I was largely unemployed throughout 2020. However, I called myself a professional rescheduler. I can't tell you how many weddings and events, special events that we had to reschedule again. And now we're only just producing now in 2021. So new businesses for me is really coming in 2022. But just like Solutions and Erica, I leaned into social media as well. And I really leaned into nurturing the relationships I knew I had online. I met with Leonardo a couple of times too during this whole time, and we all kind of had the same sensibilities. We all kept our staff, we kept them employed. That was my number one priority, was to keep my Jessica with me. But I also took the time that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was so busy to further my education. And so I wound up getting certified in business, social, and children's etiquette. And so now I'm an etiquette advisor.
Congrats.
And, yeah, I lean into that now as well. Mm-hmm.
You've been utilizing your time better than us. I was at home watching Tiger King and watching Netflix. And lastly, of course, Leonardo. I actually had the pleasure of attending the grand opening of Leonardo on 5th Avenue, which, by the way, it was in the middle of Park Avenue, one of the most popular streets in all of Winter Park. And not only a couple weeks or a month later, the entire country was shut down. I could only imagine how the COVID-19 virus has affected you personally. Tell us how you were able to persevere through that.
Yes, it was difficult too, obviously. The event industry by one side, which I am mostly driven by, and the fashion industry. So both really impacted our business. But you know, it was time for me, it was time for growth. Somewhere we needed to reinvent ourselves. Somehow we needed to make sure that all our 80 employees were, because we have employees in different countries.
Different countries.
So we want to make sure that how do we reinvent, how we use the technology to make us improve. And obviously one of the most important parts for me was how to re-educate everyone in the fashion, in the styling process, in textiles, and how can they become better professionals. So when we go out there, again, we are better and we can serve better and we can really enhance the experience of our customers. So we were really excited about just opening again and being back, and we're very happy about that. So that's why I always tell everyone, it's just, the experience was all about growth. And it was not just growth in terms of professionally, but also here, you know. And our faith grew, our way of doing things, and our approach of how do we really interact with others. So that really made us a better company, made us better people. So that's why even though there was a lot of suffering, there was a lot of good things that came out of it. So
2020 has been a test for all of us, you know, in our personal lives and in our business ventures. Just to give some background for the viewers about all of your amazing work that you've done and the experience that you have. I know, starting with Erica, you are now, you've now been in the wedding industry for a few years now. When I first met you, it was kind of like your stepping stone into it.
Yeah, it was new.
Kind of tell us about your history and your background in the bridal industry, and what have you learned since your inception?
Yeah, so my husband and I took over ownership of Solutions Bridal in 2017. And we pretty quickly after that produced the fashion show that was already, in the process. And then 2018, when we met, was the first time it was really our little touch on it, working with Lisa. And it's been a really interesting 4 years.
I can only imagine.
Very interesting. We had to jump in with both feet and figure it out and learn the hard way. And I think what I've grown so much from it. I've grown so much in how I manage people. I've grown personally in ways that I never thought I would. But also what I've learned about this industry is that it is full of people, and it makes sense if you think about it. It's full of people who love and whose entire careers are built on celebrating other people's events, not themselves. And so what I've learned is that there are so many people in this industry that will give you the shirt off their back and help you in every way they can, with the knowledge they have and the resources they have, and really want very little more than to see you succeed as much as they do.
I love it. I love it. And Lisa, I have been following your wedding planning escapades on social media for many years now. We've known each other for a while now. Give us the background that you have in the wedding industry, in wedding planning, and also what have you learned since you started?
Thank you. So this is my 18th year.
18.
As a wedding planner, and only for myself. I joke to my husband all the time that I'm largely unemployable because I can only work for myself. However, my background in school and everything was in musical theater. So This is kind of a stumble upon, which was a beautiful awakening, really. I had 2 young children at the time, and I knew I was with them and I had to go back to work, but I wanted to still be there for them.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in this conundrum. And I took my little girl to ballet class because this was my life. And her teacher was engaged, and she said, "You've done so much with the school and help with parties. Can you help me? I'll pay you." "You don't have to pay me." Well, I had no idea she was a magic dancer. I had no idea that half the magic team would be there. It was on this beautiful horse farm in Sorrento, and the referrals just kept coming from that, and it just grew. Then we had the dip of 2008, 2009, which was super fun. I called it like my trial run for coronavirus. That's when I decided to have a super niche. And if you've been in business long enough and you're an entrepreneur, niches to riches,
are
right?
Everything.
Niches to riches. So this is when other planners were reinventing themselves and starting to offer partial planning services and day of planning services. And I kind of dug my heels in the sand. And if you know me, I always have heels on. So
yes,
my heels were in the
always.
sand.
Red bottoms.
And I said no. I was just going to be exclusively a full service planner for luxury clients.
Perfect.
And I emailed all of my venues, and I asked, if you have someone just looking for full service, please send them my way. You got to ask for it. And that's exactly what happened. And it's just been a beautiful, beautiful ride.
Wow.
Met some really great people along the way. Learned a lot about myself. Highly recommend.
Wow. 18 years.
18 years.
I cannot even
for
keep
only
a job.
25-year-old.
For that long. Only a 25.
You know.
Now, Leonardo, you also have quite an interesting background to your business, Leonardo on Fifth Avenue. Can you give us some historical context to Leonardo on Fifth Avenue, where it started, and how you were able to bring it to what it is today?
Well, I've been in the industry since I was born, I guess. But I've been in the business for 25 years, 26 years. It all started, my grandfather started the whole thing. Basically, he served in the Navy. And he was, after he served in the Navy as a photographer. So basically, he finished in the Navy, and then he stayed in New York. And then that's where my father was born, and my uncle. And then after that, my father went through the menswear, and my other uncle went through the arts. He's a composer.
Wow.
So we're all in the art,
all
fashion,
business.
yeah, also in the. And years after, my father really grew the business in the Caribbean. So my father, and so generation after generation, we became transforming the business,
And you have multiple locations.
Yes.
Explain the different locations you have.
We have in Florida locations, we have in Puerto Rico locations, we have in Dominican Republic locations also. We serve some islands in the Caribbean also. Our team is divided in different, for example, we have different designer teams, one in Panama, one here, and one in Puerto Rico. So our team is really, really diverse in a way that that we can continue ourselves in doing and creating fashion, which what we love. So
keeping it in the family. That's definitely something to keep note of. All of you have spectacular backgrounds, spectacular experience, and I like that you touched on something that I actually wanted to jump into, and that's social media. Now, social media is something not every business owner has experience and background in. And 2020 definitely forced us onto applications like TikTok that we didn't even know existed. Erica, starting with you, give me a background of how social media has helped you and how it's also helped Solutions Bridal as a whole.
So it gives us a reach that we otherwise wouldn't have. So folks find us all over the country, all over the world, and reach out to us because they're inspired by a picture that they've seen. And then, so that's Instagram. Instagram's huge for us.
Yes.
It was.
There is a fan base out there for Disney.
I am telling you, it's Orlando, Disney, everything, Disney Princess Brides. And so it started, our first million view TikTok was different resorts in Disney and what dress we would pair with them. And so we just had the best time while it was quiet in here because we didn't have as many appointments because COVID. We just had the best time thinking like, oh, if somebody's getting married at the boardwalk, what would they wear? If somebody was getting married at Tower of Terror, who even gets married there? What would they wear? And it was just doing things that we thought were fun and would speak to our brides. What we didn't expect it to do was grow so big.
Yeah.
So I remember when we first started it, our social media person had said to me, we have 1,500 followers on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, is that? She said, no, it's really, really good. The next day we had 5,000. And here we are a year later with 122,000.
Wow.
And it's just grown and grown, and we find people who are, it's become a destination for people who find us on TikTok, who are like, I need to see this dress.
I love it. Yeah,
it's
TikTok,
amazing.
social, Instagram. I follow all of you on Instagram. Lisa, I follow your Instagram. And I was just telling you before, your Instagram is going in the right direction. It looks beautiful. The photos are crisp and clean. Can you give me a rundown of how social media has helped you in your business as well in wedding planning?
Truly baptism by fire. What is social media, but you're right, with all this downtime, it was time to explore, dig deep and learn. Taking notes on TikTok, by the way.
Yeah, I'm taking notes as well.
Totally. However, for me, the struggle for me is selling a service, right? You have beautiful gowns, you have custom tailor-made tuxedos. I have to promise you that I'm going to do a wonderful job for you and make all your dreams come true on your wedding day. How do you capture that? So I really leaned into storytelling.
Right.
I think storytelling is huge for me. So stories that I do on Instagram, stories are really important. I try to do a nice balance of, both the wedding business and the etiquette business, but also at the same time, I know as a curious person, I always love what goes on behind the scenes of anything. So I do give people a small glimpse into my personal life as well. Believe it or not, a house renovation project I'm doing right now is getting the most engagement. Who knew?
People like things
but I'm
they can
thankful
relate
for
to.
it. And Erica's right, the reach is unprecedented and you cannot imagine. And between Pinterest and Instagram, those are my largest, and my venues, my largest referral sources at this time.
Wow. Everything is on social media these days. Leonardo, so you did something that I actually really liked. Outside of doing interviews and working, I also am an influencer in Orlando. And then for your Leonardo on Fifth Avenue fashion show back in February of 2020, you worked with a group of influencers from social media. So that not only is a testament to how important social media is, but it definitely gave you some great exposure online. Can you give us a rundown of how social media has helped Leonardo on Fifth Avenue, and what have you learned?
Well, it's all about, like they said, reaching out and making sure that through your social media, you can express and inspire others to just come into your store. And so what we try to do through social media is make sure that our fashion really inspire them in creating their own style. So we wanna invite them, and I think social media is doing that for us. I'm also a learner. I have a young team right behind me all the time working on that. And obviously, it helps us also because it's all about creating content and making sure that you create that content that really attracts the customer also, and that make it part of his lifestyle. Because we sell lifestyle. I mean, in a way, we want a gentleman that it's going to be neatly clean, fashion forward, that takes care of himself, and to others that are not that young, we want to inspire them to look young. So we want them to, and that's about it. I mean, and we can do that through social media like no other. I don't think I've been doing traditional advertising before, and I think we're not doing any more traditional advertising. Mostly it's just social media and digital media. So I think that's especially in the fashion industry. It's just going to keep growing and growing and growing.
I actually got tailored by you for the show, and you put me in this amazing gray suit. I got so many likes from that photo. Thank you so much. I got so much engagement from it. So yeah, social media has definitely changed the way we do business, the way we communicate and interact with each other. So now let's dive into what we're all here for, and that's the 2021 Solutions Bridal Fashion Show. So Erica, just 3 years ago, we sat in this same bridal house to talk about the 2018 Solutions Bridal Fashion Show. And from my knowledge, there hasn't been one since then. What can we expect from this year's 2021 Solutions Bridal Fashion Show?
We're throwing it all at you. We're just so excited. We're so excited.
Okay.
And we have the team at the Ritz-Carlton is just as excited as we are. And I think what we've found is that the teams we're working with, the different vendors we're working with, are so excited to be able to put on this show, because it's all of our opportunity to be super creative and to put on something that is our own vision and not the vision, executing the vision of a couple that you love dearly, but that's their vision. This is something that we get to put together as a team and get super creative and show our very, very best to our potential customers. So I think you should just expect to be wowed.
I'm always wowed.
Yes.
Now, Lisa, I've witnessed your shows in the past, and you always have something up your sleeve that you just whip out at the last minute. Tell us, what can we expect from Lisa Lyons at the 2021 Solutions Bridal Fashion Show?
I feel like I have to sit on my hands right now because, I want to tell you everything.
Don't tell
but
me
know
everything.
how much I value surprise and delight.
I know.
Because believe it or not, you don't know this, but I sit in the back. I stand in the back
Yeah, she
at
stands
every
in the back.
show, and I look at David to see his reaction. When he gives me the, then I'm like, we got this. I would say sensory overload might be an accurate description for what we might experience this year.
Are you going to top brides in the wall, like 2 stories high, like you did in
That's right.
2018?
We did put human beings.
No. We put human beings in the bottom of the wall. There were dresses in the top of the wall. But yes, the plan is to top that.
But absolutely,
Yes.
100% will be bigger and better than
I'm
that.
excited. I'm excited. I know you always put on a great show. Now, Leonardo, this is actually your first time participating with the Solutions Bridal team for this show. What could we expect, especially from men's fashion? I always go there and I always look for the men's fashion as a man. And I think it's great that you'll be working with the team this year. What could we expect from Leonardo on Fifth Avenue this year?
First of all, I'm so honored to be invited for the show. And we are, like Eddie's, like I said, we're so excited about it. We already built our Spring Summer 2022 collection, so it's actually going to be showcased for the first time at the show.
Ooh, I'm
so we're very excited. After that, after the show, we're going to New York to do all the content. So we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, because Fashion Week is right after.
And then after that, we're going to be in a few Fashion Weeks. So we're very excited about that. You'll see very creative, formal inspired for the occasion. Definitely a lot of colors, patterns, and our undetectable look from Leonardo Fifth Avenue, I guess.
Yeah.
So
is anything like the gray suit that I wore? I know it's going to be good. Okay, now none of you are amateurs to putting on fashion shows, including you, Leonardo. We just spoke about the fashion show you put on in the middle of Park Avenue. And everyone loves to know what goes on behind the scenes, including on social media. Can you guys give us a rundown, starting with Erica, of what goes on behind the scenes of a Solutions Bridal Fashion Show?
Ahead of time, it's a lot of prep in terms of finding the right models, fittings, and we see so many models, and we cast way too many models because we love everybody. But we want to make sure that we're representing.
Right.
It's a very important piece of who we are as a business, and I know who Lisa is as a planner and who Leonardo. We want to make sure that everybody that we're showcasing everything that we can represent and that people can see themselves on that runway in any form. And so for us, the behind the scenes is finding all those models who embody that, who have the same spirit, who are excited to be part of it. We also, the day of behind the scenes, a ton of steaming, a ton of sewing.
I can only imagine.
A ton of walking the runway to make sure that it's that the models have it and that there aren't any mishaps.
I know that, for one, I see how much ahead of time you guys plan the show, especially you, Lisa, being the visionary and putting those vendors and pieces together. Give me a rundown of what goes behind the scenes of planning and figuring out what theme to go with for the Solutions Bridal Fashion Show?
It's so interesting, right? Because our perspective for behind the scenes pre-planning is so different. But we are aligned at the same time. We need to be. And so for me, it's a lot of before we even start, it's a lot of calls to Erica and things like that, or I'm like, I had a dream last night, or I had a glass of wine last night, and I'm thinking this, and she's like, okay, which is always so fun because she's never said no. So those planning meetings, for me, that prep is so different. And from there, from sort of this idea, it just I add water and it grows. So it's very important for me to start to look and procure partners that can see that same vision as me, and add their own flair to it and make it better. So that's super important for me to make sure that they don't say no also, and they want to go there, because we always have to go there. So, and then the day of is what I would call organized chaos, basically, from my perspective.
As long as it's organized.
I'm doing load-in, I'm doing project management, I'm still kind of recreating and designing. Things never go the way I want it to go, which I'm very used to with wedding planning. So it's a lot of on-the-fly decision making as well. And then I'm usually getting ready about 30 minutes before the show.
Nice. Now, Leonardo, I believe that the planning for menswear is probably similar to the planning for women's wear as well. I could only imagine the makeup and the hair is probably not as time consuming, but there still is a bit of fitting that goes on. Can you give us a rundown of what the behind the scenes look is like for planning a men's fashion show?
Well, men's fashion, first of all, we need to make sure that the casting is done and the perfect models. We do have already, we're working finalizing the line. Right now we make 2 collections a year. So we're right now finishing up one side of the business is trying to finish all the sewing, the stitching and everything else. And the other side is building and making sure that the show is going to be perfect. And when we're looking at that, it's not just about the fashion itself, it's also about the look and what we want to portray and the exactly specifically what we want to do for the show. So that's all going on right now. Backstage, there's so many things that could happen that we want to also make sure that we have all those already have it in the list, so it happens. We can go ahead and make sure that we can have another solution to it, because fashion shows can really, everything can get crazy somehow, sometime at that time. So,
and the show is live, like any live broadcast. So it definitely is a bit nerve-wracking. Now, Erica, there are a few vendors that have also, been assisting with this show. Can you give me a rundown of some of the vendors as well?
Yes, so our biggest partner is the Ritz-Carlton Orlando Grand Lakes. So they've been so excited to partner with us and to really provide the vision, to execute the vision that Lisa has put forth. And they've got such great ideas. And one of the most exciting parts of it this year is that their new restaurant concept, Knife and Spoon, the celebrity chef who's opened it, John Tizar, he's actually going to be on site, present at the fashion show.
Top Chef, he's
from Top Chef, exactly.
Okay,
so he'll
now
be
I'm
there
excited.
showcasing some of his food as well. Jazz It Up Artistry has always been there for us, providing hair and makeup. They're going to be doing that for us as well again.
And Lisa, you also are going to be working with a few vendors for this show. Can you give us a rundown of some of the vendors?
Sure, and again, most importantly, the Ritz-Carlton. We can't do anything, and they're just so wonderful. However, we are bringing Firefly Productions into this, and if you follow me at all on social media, you know there's very little I do without Jim, Tabitha, and the team there at Firefly. So you can expect big things.
I love Tabitha.
From them. She's wonderful. I'm also working with Lana and Art Faulkner with Fairbanks Florists, and they're planning a really beautiful installation, both with floral elements and a backdrop. Art is fashioning something signature and unique to the show. That's exciting. We also have a live music with Nora Productions. We're excited to have them as well. And of course, DJ will be from DJ Jim with Firefly. And we couldn't be more excited to have Jamel back, who is Jamel Photography, doing our behind the scenes photography. And then Cricket's Photography is doing the actual runway show. And they are so wonderful, and the way they move and capture external lighting is so fantastic. We cannot produce any post-production pictures or anything without them. We also have Dustin Seltzer with Seltzer Films, who will be doing the video. I think we're going to talk about doing a live feed this year again for those who cannot come to the show, because this show is exclusive and it is by invitation only.
I love it. I love it. Now, Leonardo, you also mentioned that your spring summer collection will be going from Orlando to New York as well. Can you give us a rundown of that?
Yeah, it is. This is the first time we're going to showcase it. It's going to be here at the show. After that, we're off to New York to make all the videos and the photography and everything else. And then we're off to 2 fashion weeks. So we are very excited that we have this opportunity to showcase it for the first time here at the show.
You're not busy at all.
You're not busy at all.
No, I have a good team. I have a good team.
Not busy at all. Now, to something more lighthearted, I actually would like to get your own personal opinions about things in the fashion industry, because you guys have such experience, and though you work in different areas, you do work with fashion a lot. If it's the dresses, or it's the planning, or it's the tuxedos. So starting with Erica, can you give me some of your favorite wedding dress trends that are going on in 2021, or just in general?
I'm all over the place. I love everything. I love the really unique stuff that you don't ever get to see. Nothing makes us more excited when we have a bride come in and say, I want to look like no bride has ever looked before. Our creative juices get flowing, we start getting creative, put overlays on things, toppers. It's super fun. Fun sleeves, love that. But there's also something about just a classic ivory dress with no embellishment, no lace, no beading, that just screams bride, that I can't help but love. So I love it all.
Now, Lisa, you have done probably just about every wedding theme that we can think of. Tell me some of your favorite wedding themes that are going on right now, or that you've done in the past.
I'm classic through and through. I think it'll never go out of style. You'll never look at it 45 years from now and say, oh, that was my purple phase, or anything like that. So I think if you stay true to a classic sensibility, but infuse your own personality in there, I think you just scored a home run. So for me, it's when it can tell the story of the couple themselves, and people walk away and say, of course, Lisa and Michael did this. Like, of course they did. Then that makes the most sense, not only to them as a couple, but to everyone that they've taken care of throughout the evening.
Now, Leonardo, I personally have my own favorite tuxedo men's fashion trends, but I'm pretty sure you know just about all of them, working in that industry professionally. Can you give me some of your favorite menswear trends or tuxedo trends?
Wow. Nothing like a black tie, for sure. Being perfect, with a perfect fit.
Fitting is like
it's just
so important.
Makes the trend, but we got to be fun too. So that's why for the show we're definitely bringing different earthy tones, and we'll see yellows. So we'll see a lot of burgundies and blacks, of course, but you'll see different color squares combined with stripes. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And to me, it's how do you portray a new formal? New formal. I mean, we've been for the pandemic itself. So we want to make sure that when you're formal, you're comfortable, and you can be creative enough to bring your own style. So we want them to see that at the runway. So yes, it's a lot of traveling that's going around, and we want to make sure that you are dressed to travel, because I think a lot of people want to travel, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna see people formal that wants to travel. You'll see that on the show. Somehow.
And I like to be comfortable. I don't want to bend down in my pants rip. Lastly, in your line of business, we all work with people, and people are your business. What would you like your customer to know about the business that you provide, and what could they experience when working with you?
So I think that having done this for 18 years, presumably, this is a well-oiled machine, right?
Yeah.
So we have the systematic pieces in place, the planning processes, the checklists, the venues, the vendors, all of those relationships. But what I really want my clients to know is that they're going to be very well taken care of. Not only them themselves, but their families. That's paramount to me, and it is to my assistant Jessica as well. In turn, we want our partners to feel like that. We only shine as a team, not just one star. So it's a nurturing relationship, and it's one that I feel is evergreen. I still have very, very close relationships with my clients. I just had a phone interview with a bride on Friday who 5 of her friends that I did their weddings sent her to me, and she had interviewed planners, but she was also looking at a venue, and she said, all roads are pointing to you. And I was like, well, welcome, and that's the feeling. It's the most special occasion of your life, the biggest party you will ever host.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure it's 100% for you, because then it's 100% for me.
I love it. I love it. And Leonardo, you are also in conjunction with planning a wedding. You provide the tuxedos. And I know personally, I had a great experience coming into your store, getting fitted, and I love the suit. What would you like your audience to know about the service that you provide and the experience that they could expect?
Yeah, I think it's all about the experience. I mean, we want to make sure that the groom has the same experience that the bride does.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the groom, he's the other half. Why not? I mean, so we are all about that. Having them being able to create, to use the technology, to look at the fabrics, to design their own dream suit.
So, and you offer in-store technology, like
in-store technology, so they can do, they can choose from over 500 fabrics, and they can actually have a designing team behind them to help them and stylists to make that dream suit that they always dream. They always dream.
Yeah.
So it's all about them. It's all about the experience. It's not just the designing, it's also the fitting process. And then at the end, when it's a wow process, I want the groom to come into the store and they go like, wow. They design their own suit, wow. They try it on, wow. They go to a wedding, wow. It's all about wow.
Yeah.
So we want that to happen, and that's our trademark. That's one by one. That's what we really want to have. An experience like no other in our store, and a lot of grooms to come into the store and experience it.
And the groom's experience matters too, okay?
Yeah.
Erica, now you provide spectacular wedding dresses. You've done some great work with weddings, even locally in Orlando. I see your work all over social media. Can you let me know what you would like your customers to know if they choose Solutions Bridal to dress them for their wedding?
I want our customers to know that we are a warm, welcoming, inclusive space.
Yes.
Everybody is welcome here. We have a curvy collection. You can actually see right behind me right here, our Limitless collection.
Wow.
And so that, it has no size. The dress is truly limitless, whatever it is you would like for it to be, and it's made for your measurements. So we can create this special moment for everybody. What I see when people walk in the door, every single bride who walks in the store is nervous. There's some piece of them that has some anxiety around trying on a wedding dress. Are they gonna look beautiful in it? Are they gonna find the one? Are they meant for this space?
Right.
And it's so important to provide the sort of service that relaxes them and shows them from the second they walk in the door that you are the most important person here. When we look at hiring, the thing I always say is, I don't care what kind of experience you have, the most important thing is that you genuinely like people.
Yes, people. Being people
You've got to love people
important.
if you work here. So we have a team full of amazing staff members who genuinely love people and love making the experience special. When you say yes, we pop a bottle of champagne. There's a little gift. Yes, a whole bottle. It's all yours. There's a little gift. We want this to be a moment that you remember forever. My worst fear is that somebody says, where'd you get your wedding dress? And 2 years later they say, I can't exactly remember. I want them to say, I went to Solutions Bridal. Erica was my stylist. She walked with me the entire way. I had the most amazing time. You need to go there for yours.
I think a huge testament to this is someone who I hope is coming is a client of all of ours, right? So Annabelle and Juan are a couple of mine getting married in October. And they live in Miami. Okay, so they came up here and I insisted she come see Erica at Solutions, and she did on one of her trips and fell in love. And I'm telling you, she looked everywhere. And then in turn, because he's part of all the planning meetings and everything, I wanted Juan to have a similar wonderful experience, which is when we called Leonardo as well. And he was blown away by the technology, which I don't know if you touched on enough. It's pretty fantastic.
I saw it and I was playing around and I was reorganizing my closet. I was taking too much time.
Yeah.
But this is really a dream team right here. Yeah.
It just speaks again to all of our sensibilities and our priorities, and for anyone in business, like attracts like, right?
Yes.
Find those people that you connect with and just thrive together.
I love it. I love it. You all have done an amazing job today. Thank you so much for sitting down with me to talk about the up-and-coming Solutions Bridal Fashion Show this year. The 2021 Solutions Bridal Fashion Show will be this year in August on the 26th at the Ritz-Carlton Grand Lake in Orlando. You don't want to miss it. It's been a pleasure, you all. Thank you so much. And until next time, my name is David Plowden, and this is David's Manor.